A catastrophic ice storm is bearing down on 40 million Americans right now, and if you are anywhere from Texas to Maine, the next 24 hours will determine whether you have power, water, and heat for the next 7 days. This is not a drill. Right now, at this very moment, freezing rain is coating power lines across the South at a rate that engineers are calling unprecedented. In the next 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the exact timeline for when this storm hits your city, and more importantly, when the most dangerous phase begins. Because here is what nobody else is telling you. Round 2 of this storm, which starts tonight, will be 3 times worse than what you saw this morning. Comment below right now with your city name, and I will give you the specific forecast for your exact location. Do it now, because by the time you finish this video, you will understand why the National Weather Service is using words like life-threatening for areas that rarely see winter weather. Here is your first critical piece of information, and this might save your life. If you are in the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, or Kentucky, and you think the storm is over because it stopped snowing this morning, you are in the calm before the catastrophe. The heaviest precipitation has not even started yet. Let me repeat that. The worst is still coming. Let me show you exactly what is happening right now. There are 2 distinct waves to this storm system. Wave 1 moved through this morning, dropped a few inches in some areas, then tapered off. That lull you are experiencing right now? That is the gap between waves. Wave 2 is already forming across the southern plains, and it is packing moisture levels that meteorologists are calling extreme. At this exact moment, thunderstorms are erupting near Waco, Texas. You heard that right. Thunderstorms in a winter storm. That tells us the energy in this system is off the charts. We are going to see thunder, snow, thunder sleet, and thunder ice across a massive area of the country in the next 36 hours. When was the last time you heard thunder during an ice storm? Exactly. Now, before we dive into your specific city forecast, you need to understand one critical term. Warm nose. This is the technical reason why this storm is so dangerous. A warm nose is a layer of above freezing air sandwiched between 2 layers of freezing air. Here's what that means for you. Snow falls from the clouds, melts in the warm layer, then refreezes on contact with anything it touches on the ground. That creates ice, not snow, not sleet, pure ice. And that ice is what brings down power lines, snaps tree branches, and leaves millions without electricity. The National Weather Service has issued ice storm warnings, not just winter storm warnings, for an area covering 17 states. Ice storm warnings are reserved for the most dangerous winter weather scenarios. They are predicting ice accumulations of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in some locations. To put that in perspective, 1/4 inch of ice is enough to start causing power outages. 1/2 inch creates widespread outages. 3/4 of an inch? That is catastrophic infrastructure failure. Let me give you the number that should terrify you. Over 100 million Americans are under some form of winter weather alert right now. 100 million. That is nearly 1/3 of the entire United States population. Here is something that might shock you. The temperature in Memphis tomorrow morning is forecast to hit 3 degrees. Not 13. 3. After this ice coats everything, those temperatures are going to lock in for days. Some areas will stay below freezing for the entire next week. That means ice will not melt. Tree branches loaded with ice will not shed their weight. Power lines will not get relief. Now, let me give you the timing, city by city, because this is what you really need to know. And I want you to write down these times because they matter. Let us start in Texas. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you have already seen some snow this morning. That surprised some people. But here is your timeline. Another 2 to 3 inches of snow and sleet between now and tomorrow morning. But the real danger starts tonight. Ice accumulations of 0.2 to 0.3 inches. Now, they have actually reduced the ice forecast slightly from earlier, but you are not out of the woods. The second wave intensifies through the overnight hours. Houston, you are in a different situation. Most of your precipitation holds off until late tonight into tomorrow. You will see a few tenths of an inch of freezing rain, but here is the critical part. You do not have to go far north of Houston to get into dangerous territory. Conroe, Livingston, you are looking at 0.3 to 0.4 inches of ice. That is the threshold where you start losing power on a large scale. San Antonio and Austin, you are in the 0.2 to 0.3 inch range for ice. Anything over 0.25 inches is danger territory. Now, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex sits in an interesting position. You are going to continue getting intermittent rounds of mixed precipitation, but the ice storm component really cranks up tonight. Even with reduced totals, you are still looking at significant icing. East Texas. This is where it gets severe. Shreveport, Monroe. You are forecast for over half an inch of additional freezing rain. Half an inch, on top of what you have already received. This is catastrophic ice storm territory. Tyler, Longview, Texarkana, same story. The Ark-La-Tex region is about to get hammered. Let me move to Louisiana now. From Leesville to Alexandria, you are looking at 0.4 to 0.5 inches of freezing rain. The northeast corner of Louisiana, you might see more than half an inch of additional ice accumulation. This is on top of the sleet and snow already on the ground. It creates what meteorologists call a glacier setup, multiple types of frozen precipitation layered on top of each other. The Mississippi Delta is in the bullseye. Jackson, they have actually reduced your totals slightly, which is good news, but you are still in for a crippling ice storm. Northeast Louisiana into the Delta region of Mississippi, additional ice of half an inch or more. Memphis, you have been dealing with this system already. You have picked up significant sleet and snow, but you have another quarter inch of ice on the way on top of what you already have. And then your temperature tomorrow morning, 3 degrees, 3 degrees Fahrenheit. Let that sink in. Oxford, Mississippi, you are forecast for 0.8 inches of freezing rain. Corinth, 1 full inch. If these numbers verify, and I have no reason to think they will not, this will be a life-threatening storm for that region. Why life-threatening? Because at those ice amounts, with temperatures staying below freezing for a week, you are talking about extended power outages in dangerously cold conditions. Little Rock, Arkansas, the northwestern sections of your state will see several more inches of snow and sleet. But from Little Rock south and east, the freezing rain component really intensifies. A few tenths of an inch on top of the snow and sleet already down. That mixed bag creates the worst possible scenario for ice accumulation. Now we move to Missouri. Joplin to Springfield, Columbia to St. Louis, you have over half a foot of additional snow coming. The heaviest part of this storm has not even reached you yet. St. Louis, you are looking at 6 to 10 inches of additional snow. This hits tonight into tomorrow. Southern Illinois, the entire southern half of the state is forecast for over half a foot of snow. Peoria, 2 to 4 inches. But down in Mount Vernon, 9 to 12 inches of additional accumulation. Chicago, you will get a bit of lake enhancement. 2 to 7 inches depending on exactly where the band's set up. Indianapolis, 8 to 12 inches of snow still on the way. Greensburg, 10 to 13 inches. I would estimate 90 to 95% of this storm's precipitation for Indiana has not even begun yet. Ohio, you are looking at 8 to 12 inches of snow across the entire state. Some freezing rain could sneak into southern areas, some sleet, but snow will be the dominant precipitation type. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, all in that 8 to 12 inch range. Kentucky. This is where the forecast gets complicated. Northern and western Kentucky, from Elizabethtown to Evansville to Louisville up to Cincinnati, 6 to 15 inches of snow. But as you drop down toward Lexington, and especially into Bowling Green, London, Harlan, Pikeville, you start getting into the mixed bag. Whatever snow and sleet you have on the ground, the ice storm portion is about to begin. They are really emphasizing the ice threat in Kentucky. Half an inch of freezing rain in the area's shaded dark red on the forecast maps. A few inches of snow and sleet mixed with that freezing rain creates that glacier I mentioned. Middle Tennessee, you are right in the heart of this. Nashville, you already have a couple inches of snow and sleet down. It was sleeting heavily a few hours ago south of Nashville, but the ice storm component of round 2 is on the way. They have actually increased the freezing rain forecast. Columbia, over 0.6 inches. Nashville, over half an inch is possible to likely. Here is the critical question for Middle Tennessee. How long do you hold sub-freezing temperatures? There will be a sharp gradient from Nashville south and east where you will stay below freezing, versus closer to the Cumberland Plateau and northern Alabama where you might switch to rain. Eastern Tennessee, maybe another inch at most of snow and sleet, but the ice storm part has not truly gotten going yet. The Cumberland Plateau could see 0.3 inches of ice. Now, if you live in the Tennessee Valley near Knoxville, you are in what I call a winter weather screw zone. When low pressure gets really close from the south, it pushes warm air into that valley. The Cumberland Plateau, that higher terrain to your east, delays the cold air trying to spill back in. So you end up in this temperature battle. You will still get freezing rain, but the amounts might be less than areas just to your west. Northern Alabama, the far northwestern section, got a dusting this morning. The question is how long you stay below freezing. Up toward Savannah, Tennessee and Waynesboro, a devastating ice storm is coming. But you do not have to drive far south to Florence and Russellville to see those totals drop to more moderate ice storm levels. It all depends on that freezing line. Georgia, if you are in the northern part of the state and wondering what is going on, let me be crystal clear. It has not started yet. The meat of this storm has not begun. Gainesville, you are now forecast for 0.8 inches of freezing rain. If this happens, it will be a war zone. Atlanta Metro, around 0.3 inches. That is notable. Athens, half an inch of freezing rain. Washington, Georgia, 0.3 to 0.4 inches. I think the northwestern sections of Georgia will see half an inch to 1 inch of freezing rain. Maybe some sleet could knock these totals down, but the forecast is not banking on that. South Carolina. Let me spend extra time here because this is one of the most dangerous zones. Columbia, they have actually lowered the freezing rain forecast slightly, but I think there is a chance it goes back up. Right now, about a quarter inch of ice in Columbia. Could start as sleet late this evening into tonight. Winnsboro, 0.3 inches. Newberry, Edgefield, quarter inch. Lancaster, 0.4 inches of freezing rain. Once you get over a quarter inch of ice, that is when you start having serious problems. Over half an inch, widespread power outages. Beyond that, you are looking at power grid failures. But the Greenville-Spartanburg area, this is the war zone for freezing rain. Half inch to 3/4 of an inch. Someone in the favored upslope areas is going to get over 1 inch of ice where elevation increases dramatically from the South Carolina-Georgia border into North Carolina. Southwest North Carolina is going to get hammered. Hendersonville, south of Asheville, that is ice storm central. Charlotte, around half an inch of freezing rain. Here is my big question for the Carolinas. Can you start off with and hang on to straight sleet when the heavy precipitation moves in? If you wake up tomorrow morning and it is still sleeting, you can probably breathe a bit easier. You are not going to have a crippling ice storm, but if you wake up tomorrow and it is just steady freezing rain, meaning liquid rain falling but temperatures below 32 degrees, things are going to go downhill fast. A lot of you in the Carolinas are going to go to bed tonight with not much happening. Then you wake up and it is a completely different story. Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, the PD region, a few tenths of an inch of freezing rain possible. Eastern North Carolina. The farther west you get, the more you get into that quarter-inch range. Goldsboro, Rocky Mount. That is where you hit ice storm territory. Raleigh-Durham, ice storm tonight into tomorrow. Quarter to half inch of freezing rain. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Burlington, Roxboro. 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet first. You could get a burst of snow in these areas late tonight before it transitions. Southeastern Virginia. This will be an ice storm area. Quarter to half inch of freezing rain in the red shaded zones, but there is a chance for a burst of snow in the next several hours first. Richmond. They think you will get 3 to 5 inches of snow and sleet really fast. Then, it will not last long. Do not assume it stays snow. The longer it does stay frozen, the better off you are. But you will mix over as we get into the next 24 hours. Southwest Virginia, another ice storm zone. Anywhere in red, over a quarter inch of ice, but you will get a front-end burst of snow first. Blacksburg, Roanoke, 5 to 6 inches of snow, and I think it falls in a hurry. Is there a chance you stay all snow and sleet for most of the event? Absolutely. But I think some freezing rain is inevitable. Most of the event in this region, even down to Mount Airy, stays snow and sleet. but you eventually transition to at least some freezing rain. West Virginia, northern areas probably stay all snow and sleet. Southern areas near Logan, Beckley, Charleston, you will probably mix and maybe even change to plain rain for a period as low pressure cuts right up the Appalachians and floods the atmosphere with warm air. They have increased some ice totals. Beckley, a few inches of snow and sleet, then half an inch of freezing rain. That is danger territory. All that snow and sleet, then freezing rain cakes on top of it. The Mid-Atlantic, several inches of snow and sleet. This starts as very heavy snow right off the bat. When you wake up tomorrow morning in D.C., Baltimore, it will be very heavy snow. But you eventually transition to sleet. D.C., 4 to 9 inches. Baltimore, 4 to 9. Cumberland, Hagerstown, you could see 8 to 15 inches of snow. Fredericksburg, 4 to 8 inches. You will get some freezing rain too, especially south of D.C. into the Delmarva and Tidewater regions. Over a tenth to a quarter inch of ice possible. Pennsylvania, it gets simpler. Mainly snow, but you mix with sleet in southeastern areas. Anywhere from 8 inches to 1.5 feet of snow across the entire state. There is a possibility of a bit of freezing rain in the bottom southeast corner. New Jersey, Delaware, you will definitely have mixing issues at some point. But tomorrow morning starts with very heavy snow, several inches right away. Philadelphia, 5 to 8 inches. Trenton, 6 to 9. Good accumulation, even along the Jersey shore. But you will start to mix. Some of this will be sleet. They are forecasting maybe as much as 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain glazed on top of the snow and sleet. New York City region, millions of people affected. Right now, about 10 inches of snow forecast for New York City proper. Same throughout Long Island. North into southern Connecticut and the Hudson Valley, over 1 foot of snow. A little freezing rain is possible even here. Buffalo, 10 to 13 inches. The entire southern tier of New York, 10 to 15 inches. Maybe closer to 2 feet depending on location. In the heart of New York, somewhere in the Catskills could get 2 feet of snow. This will be a whopper. It stays all snow there. Southern New England, 12 to 16 inches in Boston. This will be your biggest snowstorm in a couple years. There is a possibility on the southern edge, south of Boston, that you mix with sleet. I almost guarantee you will. Do not be surprised when sleet moves in and messes up the pretty snow. Vermont, New Hampshire, northern Maine, just a lot of snow, several inches in northern Maine, nothing too extreme. Now let me talk about something nobody else is emphasizing enough, the cold. This is not just about the ice and snow, this is about what happens after. Sunday morning lows, you have precipitation still falling in the teens, single digits. This is a very cold storm system. It seems like winter storms in Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma lately have been on steroids when it comes to cold. There have not been marginal temperature winter storms in these areas. Not the typical deep south scenario of 28 to 32 degrees. Barely cold enough. Dallas-Fort Worth is a perfect example. You have been getting winter storms with temperatures in the single digits, in the teens. It has been happening consistently over the last 5 to 6 years. Monday morning, with the snowpack in place, you go below zero in many areas. Single digits as far south as northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, Memphis, low of 3 degrees. Then it begins to moderate, but I would not even call it moderation. Still extremely cold, record-breaking temperatures in some areas into Tuesday morning. Eastern U.S. Tuesday morning lows, below zero with the snowpack. Single digits elsewhere, low teens across the deep south. Wednesday morning, things moderate somewhat, but still bitterly cold. Here is what that means in practical terms. That ice is not melting. Those tree branches loaded with ice are not shedding their weight. Those power lines are not getting relief. If you lose power in this storm, you could be without electricity in single-digit temperatures for days. That is why this is life-threatening. Let me give you some perspective on ice accumulation, because I do not think everyone understands what these numbers mean. 1/4 inch of ice weighs roughly 500 pounds per square foot on a flat surface. On tree branches and power lines, the weight is even more extreme because of the way ice accumulates in a cylindrical shape around them. 1/2 inch of ice can easily snap mature tree branches. 3/4 of an inch brings down major limbs and power lines. 1 inch of ice? That is catastrophic structural failure territory. Some of you are going to experience thunder ice, thunderstorms embedded in freezing rain. When was the last time you heard of that? It means the dynamics in this storm are extreme. Heavy precipitation rates. And here is the thing about freezing drizzle and light freezing rain that a lot of people do not know. It actually accumulates faster than heavy freezing rain. Heavy rain has motion that can prevent ice from building up as quickly. Light freezing rain and freezing drizzle, it accumulates quicker. So even areas where models are not showing heavy precipitation bands might end up with significant ice from sustained light freezing rain. Now, I need to address the confusion some of you have experienced. Some people thought this storm was supposed to start this afternoon and are wondering if it is a bust. Others got a little bit this morning, then it stopped. Here is the deal. There are 2 rounds. Round 1 moved through this morning in some areas. The lull you are in right now is the gap between waves. Round 2, which is the more dangerous round, gets going tonight and continues through tomorrow. The timeline has been pushing back a bit for the eastern U.S., so the heaviest precipitation is now forecast for tonight into tomorrow rather than this afternoon. If you are in the Carolinas or Georgia and saw some flurries or sleet pellets this morning that tapered off, that was just the leading edge. That was not the main event. The main event is tonight. So when people are posting on social media that the storm is a bust, they do not understand the setup. The biggest part of this system was always forecast to get going tonight. Let me give you the current situation right now, as we speak. That big area of moisture you see on satellite, especially over South Carolina, northern Georgia, North Carolina, is heading directly into very cold air. It is called a cold air damming event. Arctic air is locked in place along the eastern slopes of the Appalachians. That warm, moist air is going to override that cold air at the surface. That is your ice storm setup. Pink on the warning maps is winter storm warnings. That deep shade of purple is ice storm warnings. Then, winter weather advisories on the northern and southern fringes. We continue to have winter storm watches in southern Mississippi and Louisiana. Those could get upgraded to advisories, but I do not expect upgrades to warnings. There is also a severe weather threat on the southern edge of this system. A slight risk for severe weather across the deep South Gulf Coast. There is a 5% tornado risk out ahead of the line of storms. Montgomery down to Mobile, the Florida Panhandle. Watch out. We will have more on that tomorrow morning when we have more data. Now, let me tell you about what is coming next, because this is not the end. We are watching another potential winter storm as we get toward the end of next weekend. This one has winter storm potential written all over it for the deep south. Some model runs are showing a significant winter storm across Texas Friday into Saturday, then crawling across the southeast. Other models delay it to Sunday, February 1st. The Canadian model shows a major winter storm across Texas Friday morning, snow breaking out across Louisiana and Arkansas, then a bomb of moisture in the Gulf going over Florida. Then it develops a major snowstorm across southeast Georgia and South Carolina. That would be a significant snowstorm from Myrtle Beach into eastern North Carolina. The GFS artificial intelligence model shows something similar. By next Sunday morning, about 7.5 days from now, a massive area of moisture right off the coast of the southeast, with plenty of cold air at the surface. That is your classic setup for a winter storm that trends northwest over time. The Euro Ensemble, which I consider the best long-range guidance on the planet, shows a signal. It lights up over Georgia and especially the Carolinas. Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh have a 1 to 3 inch snowfall mean. That means a lot of ensemble members are showing accumulating snow. We will continue to watch this. For those of us who live in areas that usually just get ice, this could be an opportunity for actual snow. But first, we have to get through the next 48 hours. Let me be very direct with you. If you have not prepared yet, you need to do so immediately. Not tomorrow. Not tonight after dinner. Right now. Here is why. By tomorrow morning, if the power goes out in your area, stores will not be open. Gas stations will not have power to pump gas. Your window to prepare is closing fast. Make sure you have flashlights, batteries, a way to heat food without electricity, blankets, medications, and water. If you have a generator, make sure it is ready to go, and you have fuel. If you have a fireplace or wood stove, make sure you have adequate wood. Charge all your devices now. If you have to travel tomorrow, understand that this is not advisable. Ice on roads is far more dangerous than snow. You cannot see it. Black ice will be everywhere. Overpasses and bridges freeze first. Just because you have four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive does not mean you can stop on ice. It means you can get going, but everyone stops the same on ice. For those of you who lose power, please be careful with alternative heating sources. Every winter storm, we see tragedy from carbon monoxide poisoning when people use grills or generators indoors. Never run a generator inside your home, garage, or near windows. Carbon monoxide is odorless and deadly. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors. This is community time. If you have a generator and your neighbor does not, share resources. If someone loses power and you do not, invite them over. One more critical safety note. Do not touch downed power lines. Ever. Even if they do not look live. Assume every downed line is energized and deadly. Keep your distance and report them immediately. The emergency management agencies in every state from Texas to Maine are at full activation. This is the real deal, folks. This is not hype. This is not media exaggeration. The National Weather Service does not issue ice storm warnings lightly. When they use the term life-threatening, they mean it. So here is where we are. The next 18 hours will determine the severity of this event for most areas. By tomorrow afternoon, we will know which cities are dealing with widespread power outages. By tomorrow evening, we will know the full extent of the infrastructure damage. I will be back with another update tomorrow morning with on-the-ground reports. Actual ice accumulation totals as they come in, power outage numbers, and the latest on timing for areas that have not seen the worst yet. Make sure you comment below with your city so I can give you a personalized forecast update. This is a historic winter storm. The combination of ice extent, ice amounts, and the brutal cold that follows makes this a once-in-a-decade event for many areas. Some of you, especially in the Deep South ice storm zones, this might be a once-in-a-generation event. Stay safe tonight. Stay off the roads tomorrow. Prepare now, and we will get through this together. Comment your city below right now, and if you found this information valuable, if it helped you understand what is coming and how to prepare, share this with someone who needs to see it. Your neighbor, your family member, the person down the street who might not be paying attention. This information could genuinely save lives. I will see you tomorrow morning with the next update. Until then, stay warm, stay safe, and stay prepared.